You're welcome to stay an extra 2 weeks. There will be a lot of jobs. I don't care. Yes, please. Billy ran to his uncle and hugged him. Oh, how do I get home? I'm picking you up, son. What about Mummy? I can manage 2 days on my own, Billy. Betty smiled. Billy ran to the van. He opened the back doors. They all excitedly made a fuss of their young friend. I'm going to stay with you for 3 weeks. Best shut the doors, Billy. Yes, Mrs. Warwick. Bye-bye. Lay down. Billy pushed the doors together. Walter said his goodbyes and got in the van. Well, that's it then. Chuck looked sadly at the ground. What does she take, Chuck? Diesel, George. Any idea? Price? Chuck, sorry, mate. I don't. Petrol's gone up again. 39p a gallon. It's getting ridiculous. All the striking. Navy protecting our trawlers. Chuck winked at George. Women allowed in the stock exchange. Betty raised her eyes in contempt. Seriously, though, 18.5p for a pint of beer. Houses. Did you know the Potter's place sold for 9,000? Can you believe it? I know, Betty. Well, Ted Heath and his lot have got a lot to answer to. I agree, Chuck. The three adults were trying their hardest to delay the inevitable. Well, I'd best be off. My telephone is being connected next week, so I'll give you a call. Thank you, Chuck. Soon as possible, please, so we know you've arrived safely. Of course. Tell you what, I'll ring you from the Lockside Inn as soon as I'm there. We will miss you so. Betty, they hugged. Betty, stop. You'll set me off. George and Chuck looked awkwardly at each other. Then they proceeded to have a mock fist fight. Chuck looked at his friend. Come here, soppy sod. He hugged his best friend tight. They patted each other on the back. Betty cried as she watched the two best friends. She'd always admired their communication. She'd observed over the years there wasn't always a need to be words with them. Somehow just a look and it explained everything. Both friends were crying. Now where is that annoying child? Chuck turned. Ah, there you are. Billy giggled. Chuck swooped him up and spun him round. He put him down, bent over, put out his right hand. Put it there, young man. Billy felt so grown up, shaking his hand. No more tears, lad. See you in the summer. Safe journey, my friend. George was choked. Difficult to talk. Chuck walked to Walter's van. He put his thumbs up. Ready for off? Walter raised his thumb. Walter wound his window down. We'll see you at the garage. Doreen wants to get some sweets for the journey. Okay, Walter. Chuck walked to the lorry. Oh, George, I forgot. He threw his house keys to George. Wait, Walter. What's the matter? I can't find my purse. Well, don't worry, love. You won't need it. Walter Warwick, I cannot go away for a few days not knowing where my purse is. Chuck climbed up into the lorry. George, Betty and Billy stood side by side, sobbing, all trying their hardest to smile. Chuck waved. He stopped by Walter, who wound the window down. It's all right, son. You go on. We've just dropped something. Okay, bye. Chuck did a last toot on the horn and drove off. Billy broke away. He ran after that lorry until it was out of sight, breaking his little heart. Oh, look. It was here all the time. Doreen had found her purse. Well, if you didn't keep so much rubbish in there. Oh, great. This is going to be a fun journey. Matilda, please. We haven't even left yet. Exactly, Stretchy, exactly. Chuck drove on to the forecourt of the garage. As Phil, the attendant, filled her up, Chuck got some refreshments for the journey. As he left the little shop, Phil was just finishing filling her up. He paid for his diesel. That you off now, son, off to bonny Scotland? Yes. Chuck, pull over there. I'll check her over for you. Oh, thanks, Phil. As Phil was doing his checks, it occurred to Chuck that Walter and Doreen had not yet caught up. That was odd. Chuck turned. Oh, Chuck, these two on the left need some air. Okay, thanks, Phil. Chuck walked to the pavement. He looked up the road. Strange. He had a funny feeling he couldn't shake. He opened his packet of opal fruits. Oh, lime, that tasted good. He turned. Phil was still pumping tyres. Still no sign of them. Oh, wait, there's a motor. Oh, no, it was Ken's wood-panelled Morris Minor. He pulled on to the forecourt. Chuck asked Ken if he'd seen Walter and Doreen. He had. They passed him about 15-20 minutes ago. 15 minutes? Yes, just coming down from yours, down Box Hill Road. Funny enough, Chuck, you saying that, because Mrs. and I thought it was odd that they didn't catch up, because we stopped at the post office and Liz said she hadn't seen them go by. Now Chuck was worried. Chuck, oh, sorry, Phil. She's all yours, son. How much, Phil? No, you're good. No, please. Chuck gave him 50 pence. You're a gent, Chuck. All the best, son. They shook hands. As Chuck was pulling off the forecourt, he hesitated whether to go left and check on Walter and Doreen or turn right. He turned right. He drove for about 5 miles. It was no good. He could not shake off this feeling. He waited for the next opportunity and turned back. When he reached the garage, he asked Phil if Walter and Doreen had been in. The Warwicks? Yes. No, not today. Okay, thanks, Phil. Everything all right, lads? I hope so, Phil, I hope so. As Chuck reached Box Hill Road, his heart was beating so fast. He had no idea why. As he reached the apex of the hill, all his fears were realized. There, across the road, was a fallen tree. The other side was Walter's van, bonnet, front lights smashed. He felt sick. He climbed over the tree. Chuck tried to assess everything. He checked on Walter, who was slumped forward. There was no visible breaks or cuts. Doreen, oh, Chuck, I'm sorry. The tree fell in front of us. Chuck, the animals, they've gone. What? Chuck ran to the back of the van. They were all gone. He looked at the door, hadn't been broken or forced. He called for them. Nothing. He ran to Doreen. There was a man holding Doreen's hand, calming her down. He turned to Chuck. It was Sid, the workman for that thug. He picked him up by his lapels and stood him up against the van. Tell me now. I'm not stupid. Do not mistake me for a fool. There's been no heavy rainfall. That tree is not old. You did this. Chuck, what's going on? It's all right, Doreen. I'll be with you in a minute. You're right. Please put me down. I will tell you everything. But for now, we have to ring for an ambulance. Your friend, I checked. He's got a broken nose, probably concussion. He hit his head on the steering wheel. It took all of Chuck's strength not to hit this man. But he had questions, lots of questions. Chuck put his hand on Sid's chest. Stay there. He leant over. Doreen, do you think you could go to ring for an ambulance? Chuck, I really don't feel... Listen, Gov, I'll go. It'll be quicker if I go. Look, my car's over there on that track. There was a brown Vauxhall Viva parked there. I'll run to the nearest house. I'll be back, promise. I know you want answers.